This lesson will discuss parsing directory structures. Topics include: why would you want to parse or scan a directory structure? What are some commands which can be used to parse a directory structure? And what is the difference between using glob versus the recursive directory iterator class? Moving over to the first example, the first thing we need to do is to set a path. On line 5, we're setting the path to the current directory using the magic constant $dir, which comes back as the current directory of the current running file. On line 11, we introduced the glob command. The glob command requires a file identifier in addition to the path. In this case, we're using star, which means any file will match. If you want a specific type of file, for example PHP files, you would say star.php. On line 14, we introduced the scan-dir command. The scan-dir command takes a directory path as an argument and returns an array of files and directories within the directory. Finally, on line 18, we're using the recursive directory iterator, which is the first argument, to the recursive iterator. The purpose for this construct is to perform recursion on a specific directory. The need for the recursive iterator is to reveal the results given by the recursive directory iterator, and this will return a value in the form of an iteration object. You'll notice that on line 28, to display the results, we use another function called iterator_array to take the object and produce an array. On lines 24, 26, and 28, furthermore, we're using the implode command to take an array and to produce a string. The first argument to the implode command is what is referred to as the glue string. The glue string is inserted between each array element to form the final composite string. The implode command is a very useful device which allows you to see all elements of the array but in the form of a string. Let's now move over to the browser and have a look at the result. So as you can see, the glob command produces a list of files in a given directory. Likewise, scan-dir, but you'll notice between the two, glob gives you more information, namely the absolute path, whereas scan-dir only gives you the files within a specific directory. The recursive directory iterator gives much the same results as glob. So the question arises, why would you want to use the recursive directory iterator as compared to glob? The answer lies in the recursive nature of the recursive directory iterator. If we change the path to the parent of this directory, the question is, what comes back when we use glob, and what comes back when we use the recursive directory iterator? So moving over to the browser, let's refresh the screen. And as you can see, glob only gives you a list of directories. Likewise, scan-dir gives you a list of directories, whereas the recursive directory iterator gives us a complete list of all files and all directories starting at that point. So in review, why would you want to parse or scan a directory structure? On websites, especially websites with digital content, it might be important to scan a list of files and/or directories so that your application is aware of what is available for users to purchase. What are some commands which can be used to parse a directory structure? These include glob, scan-dir, and the SPL or standard PHP library directory iterator classes. What is the difference between using glob versus the recursive directory iterator? The difference is that both glob and scan-dir are not recursive and they're useful for only one directory at a time, whereas the recursive directory iterator will go through the entire structure from a certain starting point and give you a list of all files and all directories from that point on down the structure. This concludes our discussion of parsing directory structures.